Our lead this hour coming from the draft. We continue it's going to go all night. In-depth team coverage, burning the midnight oil, the biggest head-scratcher of the NFL draft, because controversy sells. The thing that wasn't supposed to happen at the time it wasn't supposed to happen. We'll get cracking on this from the draft in Detroit, although this came via Atlanta. And if you were not watching because you don't find the reading of random names compelling television, I get it. It's not the greatest presentation in the world, but I was watching. So, and I did flip over to the NBA games, but I had a lot of time between picks, and I didn't really care what those yahoos had to say, giving the commentary. But months after, get to the point, months after the Atlanta football team handed over giant bags of money to Kirk Cousins. I'm talking $180 million 4-year contract to Kirk Cousins. The Falcons said, you know what? We want to double our pleasure, double our fun in the quarterback room. And with a top 10 pick, they selected from the University of Washington, Michael Penix Jr. OMG! OMG! Everyone's talking about this. Everyone's got an opinion on this. So let us discuss. After the move to get Cousins, the fact that the Falcons used draft capital, a first-round pick in the top 10, to take Michael Penix Jr., make it make sense. So I've got Corso, Tenderloin, and Three Stooges. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will wax lyrical in your eardrums. So first of all, Kirk Cousins, welcome to Dixie. Welcome to the Falcons, right? Mixed messages from the ATL. Adding Kirk Cousins is a green light move. When you get Cousins from the Vikings, he's in his late 30s. I know he's coming off an injury, but you're going for it. That's a signal to the football gods that, hey, we want to have a shot at the wide open NFC. We're tired of being mediocre. The Falcons, for a moment, were back at the grown-ups table, right? They had a seat at the grown-ups table. They weren't sitting at the kiddie table in the NFL anymore. And then abracadabra, they had to remind everyone, as Lee Corso famously will say, not so fast, my friends, on the Falcons. Because you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself, as the Falcon brass punching Kirk Cousins right in the solar plexus. A vote of no confidence. I don't care how they try to spin this in Georgia. It is a vote of no confidence in Kirk Cousins. If Cousins is that broken down, why'd you sign him, dummies? Why'd you sign him, morons? It is a dead giveaway. It is a dead giveaway. They don't think Cousins is long for the road in Atlanta. And rather than fortify the roster, again, green light, go, we're trying to win the NFC, add a defensive player, add a player at another position of need. No. You pull a crazy Ivan. You make a radical change in direction. And don't misstrew. I'm not saying that I don't like Michael Penix Jr. I like the player. I found him to be the top quarterback. I was on our affiliate in Kansas City yesterday on their morning show with my friend Bob, and they asked me, who do you like? Which quarterback do you like? Of course, I hate all of them, but the one I liked was Michael Penix Jr. I found him a joy to watch back when they used to have this conference called the Pac-12, and he played in Washington. But for Atlanta to take him is just dumb. It's not like he's some guy that played only a couple years of college football. Penix is one of the older players in the draft, and you're just going to let him sit there and rot on the bench for a couple of years, holding the clipboard and watching Cousins play. You do that for somebody you don't think can play. Penix can play. You learn by playing. You don't learn by holding a clipboard. All right, now secondly, speaking of drama-o-rama, we head to Gotham. The Giants did not select a quarterback. Many people thought they would. There were many a gigabyte that was used to tell you that the Giants wanted to get a quarterback. They had their pick. They had a chance to draft one. And they said, swing and a miss. They instead took a LSU wide receiver. They've done that before. Malik Neighbors, good name. Good name, Malik Neighbors, number 6 overall pick. Now, since they passed on the quarterback, does this show the Giants now believe in Daniel Jones? The fact that they didn't pick a quarterback, there were a couple on the board at that point. There were 3 quarterbacks on the board at that point. They didn't take one. So I am shaking my head no, and I will actually praise the rotund coach or the Giants, because I got to think this was his call. Unlike his colleagues, Brian Daboll actually had the brains to decide that he did not want to draft a quarterback because he wasn't all horny for any of the quarterbacks that were on the board. Clearly, the Giants didn't like the remaining quarterbacks. If they did, they would have taken one of them. Regardless of that, this does not change the status of Danny Dimes. And he's still residing in the Tenderloin district of NFL quarterbacks. He's got one foot in the doghouse. And from what I've read, because of the way the contract is built, and you got to look ahead, not just 2024, but 2025, there's a lot of guaranteed money in 2025. So this is a rerun of what we saw in Denver with Russell Wilson. The Giants, should they blow, which they likely will, Daniel Jones is in danger of getting hemorrhoids on the bench late in the year. If he even makes it there, he often gets hurt if they turn to the dark side. All right, final thought. We go to Colorado. And speaking of Russell Wilson, he was decommissioned. He was decommissioned by the Denver football team, and the Broncos have selected another quarterback, Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, with the number 12 overall pick. So let's do a little Maller math. There's a theme. With the 12th pick in the draft, the Broncos took the 6th quarterback off the board, Bo Nix. Is Coach Sean Payton a genius, or is he clueless? So the arrow is pointing toward Sean Payton eating crayons. Wowzers here. If you wanted Bo Nix, you could have gotten Bo Nix in the 2nd round. You didn't have to take him with the 12th overall pick. Tell me you're desperate without telling me you're desperate. And there's good reason to be desperate. I'm not discounting that, but it doesn't change the fact you're desperate. And the reason the Broncos did this, I blame the 3 stooges. Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, and Ben DiNucci. That's the quarterback room in Denver. And the fact that they spent the 12th pick on a guy that was projected as a 2nd-round pick, a byproduct of the 3 stooges. Now, if you look at the numbers, Bo Nix in a cocoon in Oregon was lights out, like a video game good. But he was a middling quarterback at Auburn. So who is the real Bo Nix? Was he the guy that lit the scoreboard up at Oregon, or was he the guy who was just kind of when he played in the Southeastern Conference? Is that more of a case of him playing against weaker defenses in the Pac-12, and that's why he was able to light it up? And this jabroni, I think he spent about a decade in college football. Some mind-boggling numbers on Bo Nix. He's 24, how long he played in the college game. But he does have a nice skill set. It's not like he's terrible. He's obviously doesn't suck. He's got a quick release. He's somewhat accurate. But the way that Oregon ran their offense, unless the Broncos are going to do the same thing, maybe they will, just a bunch of screens and run-pass options and the vertical throws. We call that the basic bitch offense. If you do that, fine. But he's undersized. He's got an average arm. And a couple of months back, he was projected as a 2nd-round pick, and you took him with a 12th overall pick. Now, listen, the way it works, we all know how it works. If Bo Nix turns out to be good, then everyone will celebrate. Sean Payton's a genius. He's got the biggest balls in Denver. And if Bo Nix turns out to be a jag, just a guy, just a layperson at quarterback, this will be another mark against Sean Payton. He's the village idiot. He was put up on a pedestal by Drew Brees, and the guy is he's a dog with fleas. He's a dog with fleas.